The snowstorm and the lullaby. The snowstorm had no end. It was cold, white, and full of wind. The woman walked slowly, holding her baby close to her chest. Her arms were tired, her legs shaking. But she did not stop. The sky was gray, the ground was covered in deep snow. Her name was Mara, a human, alone on a dead alien planet. She had survived a crash, a fall from the stars. Her ship was gone, her team was gone, and now it was only her and her baby. The baby's name was Naya, small and quiet. Just a few months old, Mara wrapped Nia in the last piece of warm cloth she had. But it wasn't enough. The wind was sharp like glass, cutting her skin. Her lips were dry. Her fingers numb. She kept walking, hoping to find shelter, a cave, anything. But there was only snow, wind, and silence. Then, the baby made a sound, a soft cry, almost like a whimper. Mara looked down quickly, her heart jumping. Naya's face was pale, her small hands turning blue. She was freezing. No, 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 not now, Mara said softly. Pressing the baby closer to her chest, she dropped to her knees. Snow covering her legs, she looked around, but there was nothing, no help, no sign of life. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them away. She couldn't cry now, she had to stay strong. Mara sat down in the snow, cradling Nia carefully. She placed her lips near the baby's ear and began to hum. It was a lullaby, soft and old. One her own mother sang long ago on Earth, a melody that meant comfort, warmth, and love. The snow kept falling, but the song gave a little warmth. Her voice was shaking, but she kept singing. Nia's breathing was slow, but she was still alive. Mara closed her eyes and held her baby close. Then something changed. She heard a sound. Different from the wind. It was soft at first, then clearer. Footsteps, slow, heavy footsteps, one after another. Not the sound of boots, not the sound of snowshoes. Something larger, colder. Mara opened her eyes and turned her head slowly. Her breath caught in her throat. There was something moving in the white fog. A shape, tall and wide, with glowing eyes. It was not human. She couldn't see it fully, but it was there, watching. Mara didn't scream. She didn't run, she only held Nia tighter. Her voice stopped, the lullaby ending with a soft breath. The footsteps stopped too, just a few meters away. The silence returned, heavy and cold. The creature did not speak. It did not move. It only watched, standing like a shadow in the snow. Mara's heart was racing, but she didn't look away. "Please," she whispered. "She's just a baby." There was no answer, only the wind and the sound of Nia's slow breathing. Then the creature lifted one arm. Slowly, Mara flinched, shielding Nia with her body, but the creature didn't attack. Instead, it pointed to the side, past the hill of snow. A faint blue light appeared in the distance, barely visible through the fog. Mara turned her head, squinting to see it. It looked like a door, maybe a cave, maybe something more. When she turned back, the creature was gone. No sound, no trail, just empty snow where it once stood. Mara didn't waste time. She stood up, holding Nia tight, and began walking toward the light. Her body was shaking, her legs weak, but she moved fast. The wind blew harder, but now she had hope. Each step was pain, each breath a struggle. But after many minutes, she reached the light. It was a small cave, with old metal around the entrance, something human, maybe a shelter, maybe a ruin. She stepped inside, away from the wind. The air was still cold, but better than outside. She placed Nia on the ground and wrapped her again. The baby moved slightly, her eyes opening just a little. Mara smiled through tears. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're still with me." She sat down beside her baby, hugging her again, and then, from outside the cave, she heard another set of footsteps. But this time, they were not alone. They were many, slow and loud, and coming closer. Mara reached for the small tool in her pocket. Her only weapon left. She looked at Naya and whispered, "No one's taking you, not while I breathe." The cave was quiet. Too quiet. Mara sat with her back against the cold wall, holding her baby close. Little Nia had fallen asleep, her chest rising. And falling slowly, the storm still howled outside, but inside the cave, the wind could not reach them. For now, they were safe, but Mara's heart was not calm. Her mind kept going back to the thing she had seen in the snow. It wasn't human. It was tall, covered in shadows and fog, and had glowing eyes like cold fire. It had pointed to the cave, then vanished, like it was never there. What was it? Why did it help? Was it watching them even now? Mara stood up slowly and looked around the cave. The walls were made of rock, but parts of the cave had metal, not natural metal. This was built by someone. Maybe long ago. On one wall, there was a broken screen and a keypad. She touched it, but nothing happened. Some kind of shelter, she whispered. Human, maybe? But how did it get here? This planet was not supposed to have any colonies. Their crash had been an accident, a wrong jump through space, and yet this place, this cave, it felt too familiar. She moved deeper inside. Careful not to go too far from Naya. The floor creaked under her boots. Echoing through the empty space, there were symbols on the wall. Not alien, but human writing, faded, scratched, almost lost. One word stood out: Project Haven. She had heard that name before, an old military file, long closed. Something about secret outposts in deep space, but this planet wasn't listed, which meant someone wanted it to be forgotten. Suddenly, a sound came from behind her. Snow crunching outside, soft but clear. Footsteps again, slow and steady. Mara rushed back to the entrance, her hand on the small tool she carried, a shock blade. Low on power but sharp, she stood in front of her baby, ready to protect her. Then she saw it. The same shape, tall and silent, standing at the cave's edge. The glowing eyes stared at her through the snow. It didn't move forward, didn't speak. Just stood there like a statue. "What are you?" Mara said. Her voice steady but low. No answer. The thing tilted its head, almost like it was curious then. Slowly it raised one arm and pointed again, not at the cave, but at her. Mara didn't move. The thing then pointed to the baby, and then to its own chest. 3 slow motions. Mara's eyes narrowed. You know her." The creature made a soft sound, mechanical, like static in an old radio. Then, without warning, it took one step forward. Mara held her blade tighter. "Stop," she said. "Don't come closer." The creature paused, then crouched down, placing something on the snow, a small black cube blinking with a blue light. Then, just like before, it turned and walked away. Its footsteps faded into the storm. Mara waited, heart pounding, eyes locked on the cube. It didn't explode, didn't move, just blinked. Steady and soft, she stepped forward and picked it up. The surface was smooth, cold, and strange, but it felt like human tech. She turned it in her hand, and suddenly it lit up. A voice came from it, broken and distant. Warning: this facility was abandoned due to hostile breach. Do not engage. Mara's breath caught. Another voice followed, clearer. Female, tired. "If you find this, we tried to protect them. We failed. They took the children." The cube went silent, the light fading. Mara stood still, her fingers frozen around the device. Children, taken. Was Nia in danger even before the crash? Was this all connected? She looked at her baby, sleeping peacefully on the ground. What did they want from her? Then something clicked in her mind. The glowing, the old tech, the cube. Maybe Nia wasn't just a baby. Maybe she was something more. Born on the ship, during a time of war, she had always been different calm. Alert, too quiet sometimes, Mara never asked questions. She was just happy her child was alive. But now, questions were all she had. Who built this place? What happened to the children? And who or what was that thing that watched from the snow? She sat down again beside Naya. Holding her close, the baby stirred, eyes fluttering for a moment. "You're strong," Mara whispered. "Stronger than me," from deep inside the cave. Something beeped. Another light turned on in the wall, a slow pulse of green. The cube in her hand blinked again. Once, twice, then stopped. Something was waking up. Something that had been sleeping for a long, long time. Mara stared into the dark. Knowing the silence was over, she wasn't alone anymore, and whatever was watching her had just started to move. The green light on the cave wall blinked again. It was slow at first, then faster. Like something had noticed her, Mara stood still, holding the cube tight in her hand. Nia was asleep, safe in the corner, wrapped in the cloth, but the air had changed. It was colder, but not from the snow. It felt like the cave itself was waking up. A soft hum began. Deep under the ground, Mara walked toward the blinking panel. Unsure what she was doing, but her hand moved on its own, like a memory she never had. She placed the cube near the light. And the wall responded. Metal plates shifted. Dust fell from the cracks, and a screen flickered to life. A voice came through, soft, slow, broken. "Welcome. Unknown user. Biometric error, but partial match detected." The screen showed an old logo, Project Haven, and then a line of text appeared, glowing in the dark. "Play back last message." Mara touched the screen. It felt warm, alive. The voice returned, this time clearer. A woman's voice full of fear. "This is Dr. Lion Soren. If you're seeing this, I don't know if you're friend or foe. We tried to hide them, the children. The ones born different, they found us. They always do." Mara stepped back. Shocked. Children. Different. The message continued. "We found something in the ice. It was not human, but it spoke to them, only to the children. It sang in frequencies we couldn't hear, but the children. They understood." The screen glitched, static covering half the face. I don't know if they were gifts or warnings, but the children changed. Nia stirred behind her. Making a soft noise, Mara rushed to her, kneeling down. The baby's eyes were open, but she wasn't looking at her mother. She was staring at the wall, silent and still. The green light blinked faster, as if reacting to her. Then Mara heard it. Not with her ears, but inside her head, a sound like singing, soft and cold. Like the wind, but full of meaning. Full of something old. Nia blinked slowly, and then reached out her hand toward the screen. The light grew brighter, then stopped completely. The screen shut down. The humming ended. Silence returned. Mara looked around, breathing hard. What was that? She whispered, holding Nia close again. The baby looked up at her, calm, not afraid. Not crying, just watching. Then Mara noticed something on the ground, near the old wires, a piece of metal. Half buried in the dust, she pulled it out, revealing a badge. It read, Captain Eliane Rowe, Earth Force Research Unit. She knew that name. A ghost from old military files, someone who vanished years ago. If he was here, then this wasn't just a forgotten cave. This was a graveyard of secrets. Mara stood up and looked deeper into the cave. The walls were covered in ice, but some parts had broken screens, shattered data cores, old tools. Signs of a team that once lived, once worked, once hoped. But they were all gone now, and something had taken their place. She walked further in, her shock blade ready. One of the doors at the end was half open, frozen in place. She pushed it slowly, the ice cracking under pressure. Inside, she found a control room. filled with empty chairs and frozen bodies, men and women, scientists and soldiers. Still sitting at their posts, frozen meat action. Eyes wide, mouths open, like they had all heard something at once and never moved again. On the wall, another symbol glowed faintly, 3 rings, forming a spiral. She didn't recognize it, but it made her uneasy. It wasn't human, and it wasn't friendly. Suddenly, the cube in her pocket blinked again. This time, a new voice came through, deep and sharp. "You were not supposed to be here." Mara froze. It wasn't a recording. This was live. "You carry a signal that does not belong to your kind," the voice said. Mara didn't answer. She stepped back, her eyes searching the room. "Leave the child," the voice said. "And walk away." "No," she whispered. "She's mine." There was silence, then static. Then the voice spoke one last time. "She was never yours." The cube shut down completely. Mara stood in the middle of the frozen room, heart pounding. What did they mean? Where did Naya come from? Who was speaking? And why now? She picked up Naya and held her tight. The baby placed her tiny hand on her mother's face. Warm and soft. "She's mine," Mara repeated. "No matter what you say." In the distance, outside the cave, the snow had stopped, but the sky was darker than before. Black clouds rolled in and thunder cracked far away. Something was coming, and Mara knew this was only the beginning. The next morning came without sunlight. The sky above the planet was black and cold. Filled with clouds that didn't move, Mara stood at the entrance of the cave. Her baby wrapped against her chest. She looked across the snowy hills, her eyes searching for anything movement. Light, life. But there was nothing, only the dead wind, still. Something inside her told her to move. She had seen too much, heard too much, and now? The cave felt smaller, like it was holding a secret too big to hide. Mara packed what little she had, a cube, her blade, and hope. She tied Nia to her chest and stepped out into the snow once again. The footprints from the night before were gone, erased by the storm, but she remembered the direction the figure had come from. She walked toward the west ridge, where the ground looked disturbed. Her boots sank into the snow, slow step after step. She was tired, her body weak, but her mind was sharp now. She needed answers. Who built that cave? Why were there frozen bodies? And what did they want with Nia? After an hour of walking, she saw it, half covered in snow and Isawal, smooth and metallic. It was large, wider than the cave. Stretching into the ground like a buried ship, Mara cleared some snow and found a broken door. Old Earth Force symbols still marked the side. She pushed the door open, the metal groaning with age. Inside, there was darkness, cold and silent. Her breath made fog in the air. She turned on a weak light built into her wristband. The hallway was narrow, filled with frost, broken pipes, and shattered lights. She moved forward slowly. The floor cracked under her boots, and Nia made a soft sound in her sleep. Then, a sign on the wall. Faded but clear. Colony 9, Haven Division. Mara stopped, her heart beating faster. This was it. Not just a shelter, not just a lab. This had been a full colony, a place where humans once lived, worked, maybe even raised families. But now, it was a tomb. She passed rooms filled with rusted chairs, broken screens, smashed machines. Some rooms still had drawings on the walls, small pictures made by children, stick figures, stars, spaceships. Names written in faded markers. Tears filled Mara's eyes. These had been families, and now gone. She found a data room, its door half broken, and stepped inside. It smelled like dust and time. She placed the cube from before on a console, and surprisingly, the system reacted. Old lights flickered, and a few monitors came to life, accessing records. The system said in a robotic voice, "Welcome, Dr. Leanne Soren." The cube had tricked the system. Using her identity, a file opened, video logs began to play. Mara watched the screen, her body tense. The first video showed a group of scientists and soldiers sitting around a table. A man spoke Captain Elian Rowe. The man from the badge, he looked tired, his voice low. "We've received the signal again," he said. "The children react stronger each time." Another woman spoke. "It sings through them." Mara leaned closer, confused. "The signal is not human," the woman continued. "But it knows them. They are changing." The next log was worse. Screams in the background, alarms flashing, blood on the walls. "We've been breached," Rowe yelled. "They've come for the children." The video cut off. Mara stepped back, heart racing. They came for the children, just like the voice said. She checked the last log. It was a map. A red dot marked something deep underground, survivor zone. Restricted access, the file read, below it. One word glowed in red. Containment. Nia stirred again, her fingers twitching. And then, without warning, one of the monitors lit up bright white. A figure appeared, not human, not alien, but something in between. Its face was metal, but its eyes moved like they were alive. "You are not welcome here," it said. "You walk on sacred ground." Mara stepped back, holding her blade. "This place belonged to us," she said. "You took it." "No," the voice replied. "You gave it up. When you broke the sky and forgot your own." Mara didn't understand, but she didn't care. "You won't take her," she said, louder this time. "My daughter is not yours. She is not yours either." The voice said, "She is part of what was lost." The screen turned black. Silence returned. Mara stood in the dark, her arms around Nia. She knew now this colony died for something bigger than war. Something ancient, something human and not human. And somehow, her baby was at the center of it all. The dead colony had left behind ghosts, and now those ghosts had started to wake. Mara sat inside the abandoned control room. The screens had gone dark. The voices had faded. But her thoughts would not stop. Beside her, Nia slept soundly, small and still. Wrapped in the last of Mara's warmth, all around them, the silence felt heavy, like the walls themselves were listening. Something had spoken to her, not just with words, but with meaning too deep to explain. And now, something was coming. Mara could feel it in her bones. She had seen the files, the frozen bodies, the broken dreams of this lost colony. But the scariest part wasn't what she had found. It was what she hadn't. No graves, no bones for the children, no answers for where they went, only that they were taken. She stood up and picked up the cube again. But it was silent now, cold and empty. Whatever had spoken before was gone or waiting. Then the lights in the hallway flickered. One by one, they turned on, leading a path deeper underground. Mara didn't trust it, but she had come too far to run. She picked up Nia and followed the lights, step by step, heart pounding. The corridor led her to an elevator. Covered in frost, old but still powered, the door slid open with a hiss. Inside, a symbol glowed faintly on the panel, 3 rings, spinning slowly. The same mark she had seen before. She stepped in, holding Nia close. The elevator dropped fast. Down into the earth, it stopped with a thud, and the door opened into blackness. Then a voice spoke, not from a speaker, but inside her head. "You came." Mara stepped out, blade in hand. "I don't take orders," she said. "You've been watching us." A shape moved in the shadows, tall and silent. It was the same figure from the snow. But now she could see it clearly. Its body was metal, shaped like a human, but smoother. Colder, no face, just glowing eyes and long arms ending in fingers that never stopped moving. I watched, it said, because she is one of us. No, Mara snapped. She's mine. She was never only yours, the machine replied. She was chosen. Mara didn't understand. What do you mean? Chosen for what? The machine moved closer, but slowly. This place was not just a colony, it said. It was a gate. We came through it long ago, when your kind touched the stars too early. Mara's grip on her blade tightened. What did you do to them, the children? We awakened them, the machine said. They heard the voice, and they followed it. They changed. And they were taken to a better place. Mara looked down at Naya, who was awake now, blinking slowly. She was glowing faintly. Just like before. She's just a baby, Mara whispered. She doesn't belong to you. She belongs to the future, the machine said. And I offer you a deal. Mara narrowed her eyes. What kind of deal? Give her to me, it said, and I will open the path. You may leave this planet alive, free. Mara shook her head slowly. Leave her here with you. For what? To finish what was started, the voice replied, to become what she was born to be. I'd rather die, Mara said. You think I'll just hand over my child? The machine's head tilted slightly. You will die anyway, it said. They are coming, the corrupted ones, the ones who failed the voice and broke their minds. They are drawn to her, just like I was. Mara's heart dropped. She remembered the last log from the colony, something about a breach. Screams, children lost, and now they were returning. You want to save her, the machine said. Then, let me take her to safety. No, Mara whispered. I'll fight. Then you will fail. The machine replied, but I will offer help just once. It reached into its chest, pulling out a crystal, small and bright. This will activate the gate beneath this colony. It will protect you for a time, but if you survive, the deal remains. Leave her or die with her. Mara stepped forward and took the crystal. She felt warmth in her hand, like a beating heart. The machine stepped back into the dark, vanishing again. You have until sunset, it said. Choose. Wisely, the lights shut off, one by one. Mara was alone again, deep in the dark, but now, she had something powerful and something to lose. She looked at Naya, her soft face calm, eyes glowing just a little. No one's taking you, Mara whispered. Not machine, not monster. I'll burn the sky before I give you up. Asterisk, the sky was no longer black. It was red. Not the red of a sunset, but the red of something burning. Mara stood at the edge of the broken colony, staring up at the clouds. They were alive, moving, pulsing, as if the sky itself had opened its eyes. Thunder rolled without sound. And then the snow began to fall again, but this time it was not soft. The snowflakes glowed with orange sparks. Burning where they landed, the snow was on fire. Nia cried out in Mara's arms, her body warm, her eyes glowing brighter than before. The crystal the machine had given her began to vibrate. Shaking like it wanted to run, Mara placed it into the console at the colony gate. The ground rumbled, and old machines deep below the earth began to move. Huge metallic arms rose from the snow around the entrance. Locking into place, a blue dome of energy shimmered in the air, forming a shield around the control room. Then the alarms began. Screaming red lights, warning tones, flashing messages Mara couldn't read fast enough. They were coming. She turned to the broken hallway and grabbed her shock blade. Naya was wrapped tight in her coat and placed safely behind the control panel. I'll come back for you, she whispered, no matter what happens. The first sound came like claws on steel, screeching, long, sharp. Then came the shapes. Twisted human forms, walking on broken legs, their arms fused with metal. Their eyes were dark, their mouths open in silent screams. The corrupted, once human, now hollow. Mara stood in front of the hallway door, blade ready. The first creature lunged, and she moved fast, slicing it across the neck. It fell, not dead, but still. The others charged. She fought without thinking, her body moving with every beat of fear and fury. Blood sprayed, metal cracked. The hallway became smoke and sparks. But there were too many. She backed up, breath ragged, her side bleeding from a deep cut. Then the console behind her lit up again. Naya was glowing. Her hands had touched the crystal. The gate's core responded. Rising from the floor like a golden tower, it pulsed once, then released a wave of sound, high, cold, and beautiful. The creatures froze in place, some covered their ears, others dropped to their knees, shaking violently. The song continued. Like a lullaby made of wind and stars, it came from Nia. She was singing, though her mouth did not move. The power flowed through her like light through glass. The corrupted screamed one last time. Man began to burn, not from flame, but from inside. Their metal parts melted, their bodies turned to dust. One by one, they collapsed. Mara stared in disbelief. Unable to move, the air was quiet again. Naya blinked slowly, then fell asleep. The glow fading from her skin, Mara rushed to her, tears falling down her face. "You saved us," she whispered. Holding her close, "You saved me?" But the ground shook again, louder this time. A large shadow moved outside the dome, bigger than the others, not corrupted, but something worse. It looked human, but taller, bulkier, covered in armor and smoke. Its face was hidden by a helmet, but Mara felt the hate coming off it like fire. The final one, the leader of the broken ones. It stepped through the fire snow, dragging a hammer made of old metal and bone. It raised one hand. The dome cracked. The shield screamed under pressure. Mara grabbed the crystal from the console and ran outside. Blade in hand, "You want her," she shouted. "You'll have to go through me." The creature didn't speak. It only charged. Mara dodged, rolled under its swing, and slashed at its side. Metal sparked, but it didn't stop. They fought across the snow, blade against hammer, human against horror. She was fast, but it was stronger. A blow landed hard against her ribs, sending her flying into the snow. She coughed, blood staining her lips. The creature raised its hammer again before it could strike. A beam of light shot down from the sky. It hit the monster with full force, pushing it back. Mara looked up. The machine from before her watcher was descending from a floating platform. Its arms glowed with energy, and its voice echoed across the snow. "You failed her once," it said to the creature. "You will not fail again." They clashed machine against monster. Old against broken, Mara crawled to Naya, picked her up, and ran to the other side of the control gate. Behind her, light and fire filled the sky. She didn't know who would win, but she knew she had to keep going because the song wasn't over yet, and the final note had not been sung. The battlefield was silent. Snowflakes drifted through the sky like ashes from a dying fire. Mara stood alone in the red-tinted snow, her arms wrapped tight around her daughter. The machine was gone. So was the creature with the hammer. The storm above had opened just enough to let a sliver of light fall on the ruined colony. But it was not sunlight. It came from somewhere far beyond the clouds. The final gate had begun to open. The crystal in Mara's pocket pulsed with heat. Warm like a heartbeat, it called to Nia, and Nia responded. She opened her small eyes and looked at the light, not afraid. Her glow returned, not as a flicker, but like a star waking from sleep. The ground beneath them shifted, the colony floor opening with a slow, deep sound. A platform rose, made of ancient metal and covered in strange marks. Not human, not alien, but something older. Something in between. Mara stepped forward. Drawn by a pull she didn't understand, the platform lit up under her feet. And a voice returned not from a machine, but from the air itself. One has carried the fire. It said, and one has become it. Mara looked down at her child. Naya was glowing brighter now, but her skin was cool, her breath calm. The voice continued. This world is only the first echo. She is the song that will reach the others. Mara held her tighter, confused and afraid. I didn't ask for this, she whispered. I just wanted to keep her safe. You did? The voice said, and now you must let her fly. From the distance, a soft sound began to rise. It was the same melody she once sang in the snow, the lullaby, but now it was being sung back by the wind. The sky, the very stone of the earth. Nia opened her mouth and joined it, a perfect tone. Beautiful and strange, the platform rose higher, and pillars of light erupted around it. A circle began to form in the air like a mirror made of stars. Beyond it, Mara saw glimpses of other worlds, some green and alive, others dark and waiting. And at the center of it, all a place that felt like home, but not Earth. A place for Naya, a place for all the lost children who heard the voice. The machine appeared again, floating in the distance, silent, no longer watching, but witnessing it. Bowed its head, not as a ruler but as a guardian. Mara looked at it, then at the mirror of stars. Will she be safe? She asked. The machine answered with the only truth it had. She will be what comes next. Mara kissed Nia's forehead. Tears falling. You are my song, she whispered. But you were never just mine. She stepped onto the final ring of the gate, and the light wrapped around them both. Nia was lifted slowly into the air. Her glow mixing with the beams above. Mara wanted to hold on, but her arms lowered on their own. Not out of fear, but peace. The lullaby filled the sky, louder now, deeper. Not just a melody, but a message, a memory, a promise. Then Nia vanished through the light, her glow spreading like stardust into the sky. The gate closed, the platform lowered. And silence returned. Mara fell to her knees, alone again, but she was not broken. She had kept her promise. She had sung the final note from the sky. A single snowflake fell shaped like a spiral. Soft and golden, it landed on her hand and melted. Into warmth, far above, the stars shifted, and somewhere in the universe, the lullaby continued.